Yesterday, I mentioned this one with Will Dissly to go over 15.5 receiving yards. The Chargers tight end tonight, I mean, this number is way too low. Dissly's cashed this over in all 3 games against Kansas City, dating back to 2022. He's averaging just under 21 receiving yards in those spots. And last year, Dissly averaged 31 receiving yards a game. The Chiefs were the worst defense in the NFL against tight ends last year, which is why 67% of tight ends went over their props. So Will Dissly over 15.5 yards. This is like Jahan Dotson. The number is way too low for the matchup. Jaguars running back Travis Etienne over 40.5 rushing yards. I'm a little nervous about this because of Tank Bigsby. However, Etienne went over this in 5 of 6 home games last year, averaging 45.5 rushing yards. Last year, Carolina allowed the most rushing yards per game to running backs at just under 150 yards a game. 69% of running backs went over their rushing yards prop last year against the Panthers. Travis Etienne still RB1, over 40.5 rushing yards for him. Run the clock out and just dictate pace of play, and don't lose that game as 3.5-point favorites at home against Carolina. Atlanta's tight end Kyle Pitts, if you really want to hate yourself, you could take his over 38.5 receiving yards. Falcons hosting the Bucks. Kyle Pitts for me, oh God, he is just sometimes you get Kyle Pitts overs and you're like, wow, I'm a genius. Then the other times, everyone's like, you're an idiot. You just don't know. The second half of the year last year, he absolutely sucked. So Kyle Pitts over 38.5 receiving yards. Well, last year, he went over in all 6 games that he played against the Bucks. Sorry. Since 2021, he's gone over in all 6 games that he's played against the Bucks, including both last year. The Bucks allowed the second most receiving yards per game to tight ends at 67 yards a game. Just because of the matchup and because of the history, and I feel like no one's really talking about it, Kyle Pitts going over in 6 straight, everyone in his career against Tampa, basically. We just got to ride the trend. Over 38.5 for Kyle Pitts. You guys know, Ravens-Bills, I'm going to be hating my life. So Justice Hill, the Ravens running back, over 14.5 receiving yards. He had 78 in the regular season matchup with the Bills last year. Then they went away from him in the playoffs. He averaged Hill just under 27 receiving yards a game on the road last season, going over in 5 of 9. 60% of running backs that faced the Bills went over their receiving yard prop last year because the Bills allowed the most receiving yards per game to running backs. So we're just going to ride that again over Justice Hill receiving yards. And Josh Allen's going to throw the football tomorrow because if you don't try to test the Ravens secondary, you are stupid. Josh Allen over 30.5 pass attempts. It's a number he's gone over in 5 of the last 6 seasons, week 1. Hold on. Over in week 1. I'm always just I see on the newsletter that I didn't write that. Josh Allen, also, the Ravens allowed the 3rd most pass attempts per game last year. The line also flipped from the Bills -1.5 to +1.5. So if they do, in fact, play from behind, then there's a good chance that Josh Allen's going to have to throw the football a lot. So go with the over 30.5 pass attempts for Josh Allen playing from behind against a team like the Ravens, who he could get some pretty deep balls against the Ravens secondary. I know that Ravens secondary played much better the second half of last year, but just every year this secondary starts out slow.